is the all-time leader in submissions inside the UFC? A BJJ black belt that is a dangerous submission grappler. Charles Oliveira joined the UFC in 2011, when he was only 20 years old. At the end of his very first round inside the Octagon, Charles would get the first of his 16 submissions.
Grabs a hold of him, got him up, and down. Big takedown. But immediately, look how combination. Elkins is in all kinds of trouble. Oh, he's done.
It was clear from his very young career that Charles was allergic to the scorecards.
Trying to submit Efrain Escudero. Oh, he's got it in deep. It is all over.
DeBronx had an up-and-down career before his title reign. However, he should serve as an inspiration to everyone. Moreover, Oliveira is one of the only two fighters to have pulled off a calf slicer submission.
Down on the crotch, he's out of it, but he's got to be careful here because Oliveira's going to take his back.
Look over it. Man, nice transition.
A calf slicer is one of the most complicated submissions to pull off, and if done successfully, could snap someone's leg apart. Moreover, the submission is so brutal that most people aren't even allowed to do it, even if they can do it. Defensively speaking, Charles has used his BJJ to escape tough situations.
Switching omoplata and lands a decent up kick.
Impressively enough, he is capable of reversing bad positions into an ideal scenario for himself, like here where he sunk in the guillotine. And while it is true that Charles has had his ups and downs in his career, there's an argument it was all very valid experience. In his bout against Cub Swanson, he even had some success.
Nice takedown.
Let's see about his
Oliveira. Well, Swanson is a very good.
Swanson, who was a savvy veteran, showed him some flaws. However, he was still quite the young fighter.
Over the top. And he's hurt. Yeah, he's done.
And it is all over.
He's done.
Despite his earlier inconsistencies, Oliveira has always been a massive threat, especially off his back, which isn't that common in MMA. Oliveira's reign at featherweight was perhaps a primary issue when it came to his performances. Charles quickly built a reputation for being a fighter that can never be counted off. This beautiful anaconda choke over Hatsuhioki shows that he not only will submit you, but will also do it creatively.
For that Darce again and again, now sitting to guard. Trying to lock it up here. Kind of a modified Peruvian choke here, and he's got it.
Another primary aspect for Oliveira is his ability to place himself in bad positions if it means there is a chance for a finish, primarily because he can defend himself well.
Not do so. But he's going for a leg here. Boy, he is just constantly moving from the bottom.
Great transitions for Oliveira.
Moreover, DeBronx has utilized his improved striking for easier entries towards some of his submissions.
Oliveira has an outstanding squeeze. That's it.
Oliveira's loss against Holloway would be a message that the Brazilian native should move up a weight class. The injury Oliveira sustained to his esophagus may have been a low point in his career, but it ended up motivating him to turn things around. Oliveira's notable transformation began in 2017 after he suffered his last defeat before embarking on his impressive winning streak. Felder was always a highly touted and tough opponent. This loss truly ignited a fire under Charles. He knew he'd have to change it up.
Oh! Huge elbow.
This might be it. Paul Felder gets Charles.
The birth of his daughter made Oliveira become a truly different fighter. Oliveira would join Chuta Box, where he'd develop striking to complement his beautiful ground game. This move would help Oliveira, as he would be able to sustain more shots and be more defensively sound, allowing him to showcase his skills with lower concerns. Almost immediately, we saw a difference, where Oliveira was more comfortable striking before taking someone down.
Nice knee. Oh, he clipped him with that right hand. There's that guillotine, and Oliveira's guillotine is nasty. What he's great at. It is so nasty. This is terrible.
DeBronx had created this new look. Charles had adopted a Muay Thai stance and was comfortable with both delivering and evading strikes. Moreover, Charles was aggressive at all times.
Do if you're Jamila, you want to pressure, but what an attempt by Charles Oliveira.
He kept on securing these beautiful finishes. Oliveira's striking was now considered quite dangerous.
It's a 9-9 round, but perhaps a 10-8. And a forearm shiver there from Oliveira.
This is it.
Who's
Let
this
it
go?
This anaconda choke over Tamer showed that the transition between striking to a submission was beautiful. Oliveira's combination of elite-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and his Thai-style striking enabled him to secure more high-profile fights. Fighters were now alarmed at not only his grappling but his striking. What this ultimately meant was that opponents now had to worry about getting knocked out by Charles in addition to being finished by him. After his fight with Kevin Lee, who had previously challenged for an interim title, many started to view Oliveira as a possible title contender. He found the submission early on in the third round, and that sent a big message.
Here, he's gonna. Oliveira forces the tap!
We were getting closer to an Oliveira title reign. Tony Ferguson was considered a massive threat in the lightweight division, and a win over him would guarantee Charles a shot at the belt. However, DeBronx was not fearful of Tony. Before this fight, Charles had won his last 7 fights by finishing his opponents. But even though Tony's arm was almost torn off, he refused to tap. Oliveira would dominate Ferguson for all 3 rounds, garnering him his 8th straight win. Post-fight, Charles would inform Joe Rogan about his desire to get the next shot.
The boss already said whoever won this fight would be in a great position in first place to fight for the belt. And, you know, when Conor and Poirier fight in January, I'm going to be watching. I'm going to just be waiting to see who's going to fight me.
Oliveira would now face Michael Chandler for the lightweight belt. Chandler was a UFC newcomer, but was a menace regardless of it all. Oliveira's turnaround all came down to this particular moment. DeBronx was faced with massive adversity into the first round.
Here under 2 minutes to go in the round. There's that left hand. Oh, no, Oliveira down.
But Oliveira would knock out Chandler in the second round.